But anyway, back where I was. So I was supposed to have C-spine surgery on February 21st. But in the beginning of February, my uncle had some sores on his legs that he wasn't taking care of, and he wasn't washing and putting antiseptic or anything on him. You know, he wasn't taking showers at the time. He was not really wanting to still survive. So he didn't take care of himself, and he ended up in the hospital, and he ended up with gangrene. They were going to amputate his foot, and we were talking to him, and he's my stepdad's younger brother, and we were telling him that you got me, and I've lived this long with an amputation, so he could do it too, and I would help him with any problems that come up, and Pop was trying to talk to him to get him to want to stay around, basically, because he was telling us, he just wanted to die and be with his parents and Pop's older brother who died in a plane crash, and so basically he didn't want to live, but after getting him on some medications to help treat the depression, he was doing better, and as happens a lot of times, right when someone's getting better, they suddenly take a turn for the worse, and that happened to him. He got blood poisoning from the gangrene because they couldn't get him into surgery fast enough because he kept fighting them. So my uncle died in February right before I had surgery. So it's been a rough 5 years, and especially the last 3 years, because I have had a lumbar laminate. Is that what it's called? Lumbar surgery, where they take the lamina off of your spine to try to relieve the pressure. What happened was I slipped one day in the kitchen, fell down, cracked my tailbone, and I blew out two of my discs in my lumbar area. And by the time the VA kept postponing things, finally got me into surgery after about 8 months. And the laminectomy. The laminectomy didn't work. It ended up where the pressure on my spine was just too great. So, and I have degenerative disc disease, which is highly common among people with narcolepsy. So those discs deteriorated further, and my spine crumbled down a little bit, and the pain got so extreme that when they ask you is it 1 to 10, I was saying 12, because there's no way it could have been a 10. So I ended up having a lumbar fusion surgery, and that was a little ridiculous because the VA was doing all they could to postpone it, and they ended up giving me an epidural injection into my spine. And since my body is so fond of having, things injected into it, it encapsulated the shot and turned into a synovial cyst, a spindle cell synovial cyst, which kind of scared me because the synovial sarcoma I had started out as a spindle cell synovial cyst. So they eventually got me in, but then I got permanent nerve damage that goes from my lumbar area and kind of goes in a spiral around my leg down to my foot, and halfway down my calf, the feeling in my skin stops, and I can feel what's going on inside my foot and my calf area, but I can't feel You know, the upper parts of the skin, I can't feel my toes except for my little toe. So things have been, you know, and I'm already missing one foot. So things have been pretty messed up for a long time. And, you know, when I had the idea of doing these videos, and I was being encouraged by my friends to do these videos, but actually getting to do them was quite a problem with everything that was going on. I did get a really, for 31 years, I had a horrible prosthesis. But you don't know how horrible something is until you get something better. So it came along that the technology changed, and I'll end up showing you later the the new prosthesis and the old prosthesis and how extremely different they are. Basically, what I have now is a blade type foot, and before it was like it's made of the same material that a ski is made of, but it doesn't have that kind of flex. It's like walking on a piece of wood, basically. So the old prosthesis for all those years was, okay, so I didn't have a prosthesis for the first 6 months, but after that it was basically anytime I would walk, I'd be putting in 4 times the effort that it would be to normally walk. And then I get this new prosthesis, and the foot is just incredible. It does everything that a normal foot should do. You step on uneven ground, it adjusts for it. You take a step backwards, and it pushes your leg for you. You take a step forward, and it follows through, and it's got a split. You'll see it. It's really amazing. And so now I have I got the first one, and then a year later I got another one because one time the guy who makes my legs pointed out, a normal person with both feet, you break a foot, you'll go to the hospital, and they'll put a cast on it, But with an amputee, you break a foot, what are you supposed to do when you're without a foot? You have to. The world is not made for people who have to use crutches or have to use wheelchairs, and that's the biggest reason why people who are amputees use their prosthetics despite how much it causes them pain, because it's so much more difficult to do without them, without a prosthesis. I tried everything. I tried going grocery shopping with a backpack. I tried going grocery shopping, pushing the cart around. And now it's got, since my leg is not, I can't feel so much of it, I have to have a walker. I can walk okay after, it took me like 6 months to get back to walking normally, or appearing to walk normally, because of course I have an artificial leg, and now I can't feel my left foot. So I don't walk normally. But, to appear to walk normally took me about 6 more months, and, my spine was healing at the same time, and the fusion takes at least a year to grow the bone over the area where they put in the hardware. So I ended up having to have a 4-wheel walker with a seat because I cannot stand still for more than a few minutes. My back starts clenching up, and once they cut your muscles open like that, they never go back together. I saw, since I had a laminectomy first and then a fusion, I saw the MRI where the surgery was previously, and the muscles around the area look like spaghetti. That's how it heals when they try to put you back together. They cannot reconnect muscle tissue. They can reconnect nerves, they can reconnect blood vessels, but they cannot have the muscles go back together the way that they were before the surgery. So you always have a problem anywhere there's a place cut open. And I've got a bunch of places that have been cut open now. My neck has been cut open this way now, and previously in 2005, the first fusion, it was cut open this way, and 2 surgeries on my lumbar area. And you have degenerative disc disease. If you're going to keep living, you're going to end up having more surgeries because the discs will continue to fall apart. The things that they're putting in people now to fix the problem are getting better. So it's not, each year it's like they come up with something new that will imitate what the body does better. With my neck, there is now at 4 levels. So originally it was 3 levels, now it's 4 levels. So that part of my spine doesn't move a whole lot, and when it does move, the body sends out a signal saying, hey, if you keep turning that way, you're going to break something. So it sends out a pain signal and the muscles clench up. And I had 2 years of, mouth is always dry. 2 years of physical therapy on my hands and my arms, because I had just given up trying to hold things and use things like a stylus or type or anything like that, because my arms would just freeze up, and my hands were like claws. Trying to get them to close on something was really tough. I could hold a mug because my hand was open, but to clench my hand was almost impossible. These muscles were so stiff that they had to use a technique called dry needling. You can look it up on your favorite search engine. And it's basically they're sticking needles that are like acupuncture needles into your muscles to get the muscles to release. And it's some really amazing stuff, because I would feel, she would stick needles in one place and I would feel the muscles respond all the way through my arm and down my back into the lumbar area. And I was like, are those muscles really connected? And one day she took me over to this big chart and showed me how your arm is connected to your lower back through a series of muscles, And when I had the surgery, she told me the APRN, which is the nurse in surgery, told me that when they do this thing, your neck is flipped back as far as they can get it. They tilt your head all the way back, and they tape your shoulders down to the table. And so that if they hit a nerve while they're working on your neck and your body flexes, your neck won't move, so they won't damage you. However, since my shoulder was taped down to the table and something did happen, it could have even been a myoclonus or something from being old and having narcolepsy. The muscle that goes, the trapezius muscle, which runs across here and goes halfway down your back, ended up getting either torn or pulled. One of them tried to tell me that it couldn't be torn. For some, I don't even know the reason she gave, but she was saying something about you'd have to prove it on x-rays. But the other one told me, yes, it is probably torn. So it took me quite a long time to get that muscle to get repaired, and quite a bit of work and some very special cream that a very good friend that I list in my comments, Dawn, she makes a cream that really helped. I was putting a heating pad on it every day, every single day, and doing the exercises to get it to rebuild. And stop from being in so much pain. And Dawn sent me this cream, and 3 days later the pain stopped. So watch out, Nim. Yeah, watch out. So that pain, that stuff, is what's been going on, and finally has gotten manageable enough that I've been able to make these videos. So I just thought I'd start telling you, at first I was like, why would anybody want to know anything about my life? And one of my friends said, you've been through a hell of a lot, and people go through the same kind of things you go through. So it'd be good to tell them, about your life. And, other friends have told me in the past that I should write a book because of all the things that have happened to me. So I'm not going to write a book. My hands don't work that well yet. And I doubt that I could sit there typing for that long, even if they did work that well. So it will be on video. And anyone who's curious enough or wants to find out how the hell you live through all this stuff will be told through these videos. And that's pretty much all I have to say tonight. And tomorrow I'm going to do the second video on L-citrulline malate, which will tell you how it works, why it works, and why you should be trying it. Thank you, and goodbye.